All right, let's see. Testing 1, 2, 3. Get this guy in here a little bit. Not too close, but close enough. Running 11 since August with no issues. Thumbs up for you, Brian. I ran it for a week. Well, really, one day last week and one day this week. And ran into glitches immediately. Well, not last week, but this week. But this week, it's a different story. Anyway, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yep. And Gunnar, I agree with that. If we have a choice, but I get a lot of calls from folks that say, my PC upgraded itself to, to Windows 11, which we know is not true. They clicked on a button, did it themselves. It didn't, it might have been concealed or disguised as something else, but they initiated it. Windows is not going to initiate an upgrade to Windows 11 remotely. It's just not going to happen. So when we get to choose, yeah, we want to choose not to. I think for now we want to choose not to. But some people either chose without being aware, or their organizations chose for them. There does seem to be an issue, and we'll talk about this on the show. There does seem to be an issue with folks that upgraded from 10 to 11 so far as vMix is concerned, as opposed to the just installed 11. It came installed on their factory PC or whatever. Yeah. Rich is here. All right. Yay. He's here. Well, I don't know. I'd be interested because we have done like 85 different adjustments today, trying to get everything where we can see everything. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Tommy, I think you put your finger on it. I think you've put your finger on it. It is Windows 11 is cursed. I don't know that it's haunted, but I think it may be cursed. We will see. We will see. Hey, Rick, glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. Glad you're here. I am curious. One of the big adjustments we made to today's stream, and I don't want to get into too much before the show, like this isn't part of the show. Rich is sending cables across the Atlantic. But you would if you could. You know that. I think you can, you just won't. It's a matter of will and choice as opposed to inability. Because I've met a lot of Baptists. Met a lot of Baptists. No, one of the things that we did here today is generally we live stream. We're kind of doing a long-term test of 4K 60. That is 4K resolution, progressive, and the frame rate of 60 frames a second. Just because we want to push the envelope and have the experience so that as more and more people move into at least the 4K world or the 4K 60 world, that they, that we've got some experience to be able to share with them in those situations. Now, today we're not doing 4K 60. We're doing, well, our desktop is set up in 4K 60, but we're streaming 1080p 60. And I'm just looking around my desktop here trying to see, render time 12 milliseconds, GPU memory 100%, but that's because we're on resizable bar, so that's not a good percentage. vMix 17, total 35. I'm streaming one stream 1080p 60. I have a second PC on the Prem that is independent of this one. They're on the same network. And they're sharing the same NDI resources, including the output of this stream of this PC is an input on that one. And it may be the output of that now. And I've just got that one plugged to this one. Well, we're getting into the show stuff. I want to tell you all this. Oh, I just want to. I understand. I understand. And sometimes the back row is where the action is. You know, that's where the Holy Spirit starts first. Starts in the back row and moves forward. Welcome, Steve. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Oh, I know what I wanted to check. I'm curious what the latency is. That was one of the things I was going to say is since we're doing a 1080p stream, I've changed the vMix latency to ultra low latency. So let's see. 217, so it's about 3 seconds. 15, 9, well, maybe 6 seconds, 5 or 6 seconds. So I was able to use ultra low latency today, which means I can be more responsive to your comments instead of having to wait 15 seconds, which 15 seconds is an eternity. I mean, just face it. There's a trick to output different streams with different internet connections. Yes, there is. In my case, I have one internet connection and one stream. so you'd think I couldn't screw that up, but we'll see, because I've got a second PC that we're going to be streaming with on excuse me, on the same internet connection, and we'll see how that goes. So this will be 2 different streams on the same internet connection, but from 2 different PCs. So yeah, I've got 20 megs up, so I get what I can in 20 megs up. Yeah, we'll share all this with you in just a minute. We'll share it all with you in just a minute when we start the show. Can y'all hear that fan in the background? I hear it, but I'm not sure if you guys hear it. Tommy, you've uncovered my secret. Actually, my secret is I'm an idiot. I mean, I know I play one on TV, but in real life, I'm an idiot. And I stumble and bumble around and eventually, get the right answer. And that's what we call wisdom. When after you stumble and bumble around long enough and you know all the wrong ways to do something. But if I just told you the right way, if you got into the wrong situation, you'd have to figure your own way out of it. In this case, I can tell you, don't do this because of this, and don't do that because of that, and don't do this other thing because of this other thing. And then you say, okay, now I got it. Now I got it. That's the hope anyway. We'll see. I mean, nobody can get every possible negative outcome figured out in advance, but we'll try. We'll try. Okay, let's get the show on the road. We'll hit the purple button. Ready? Here we go. All right. All right. It worked. It worked. And my audio works. Hot dog. I'm Tom Sinclair, by the way. Didn't introduce myself earlier. Streaming Idiots is the show. Eastern Shore Broadcasting is my company. We design and build PCs for live streaming using vMix and all sorts of other cool gear. We love We love our friends at X Keys. We love our friends at PTZ Optics and our friends at Bird Dog. And if I've left you off the list, I guess you don't qualify. No, we love lots of friends. And today is the part 2 of our, what do you call it? We want to show you what, let's go here. There we go. We want to show you what it looks like when you take an existing vMix, an existing Windows 10 PC, upgrade it to Windows 11 with vMix on it. And that seems to be the scenario where a lot of people are having problems. Folks that have installed Windows 11 on a brand new PC don't seem to be having the issues that people that have made the Windows upgrade. So we tried to simulate that as much as we could here, and have a Windows. This is the system right here, and it's just sitting on the box. And the idea is that we've simulated as much as we could a PC that's been upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. That system is, as you can see, it's using an Asus Z590A motherboard. It's using, oh boy, what is it? I think it's using the Intel i7 11700, either K or KF CPU. I don't remember which. 16 gigs of RAM. Currently, it has in it a something I pulled out of the kind of my recycle bin, a GTX 2070 Super graphics card. It has 2 solid-state drives. Has a Samsung, what is it? An 870 Evo Pro, 250 gig for the OS and software, and then a Sabrent Rocket terabyte as the second drive for recordings and other such. Temporarily, it has a Blackmagic DeckLink Duo 2, which is a 4-port SDI capture card. And we're also using a Magewell SDI, USB SDI capture card. So that we're trying to get as many different kinds of ports and different types of action into this thing as we possibly can. One of the outputs, and you can see, if you see the upside down gigabyte right there, kind of in the middle, and you look to the right of that, you see two cables. One of those, the top one is a HDMI, a display port to HDMI converter. And then it also converts to DVI. So that's supplying that little monitor right there to the left. And then right below that mess of converters is a HDMI cable. And that HDMI cable comes to this PC, to a Blackmagic DeckLink mini recorder. And so we're bringing in the desktop from that PC as an input here. And this is what that desktop currently looks like. We're not doing an extended display of any kind. We're not doing, we're not using vMix with a full screen output. We're trying to just get it at the very elemental levels so that if something bombs out, you get to watch the bomb as well as anything else. So I've got control over this PC with TeamViewer. Let's see if I've got everything in TeamViewer that I want. I think I do. Yep. So I have got the ability to change things around in this PC here from my desktop. So I can make myself go live right there. I've got 15 different inputs Input number 1 is an NDI input from my network. It's the PTZ Optics HX3 4K. It's a 12x version of that. This cam right here, going into program, is a Bird Dog P100. And this particular view of it is coming in over NDI. I've got the same camera here coming in through the Decklink Duo over SDI. I was just trying to get as many different inputs, and the fact that they look the same, I don't think is that important. This camera right here, whoops, there we go, in output, that is a Bird Dog P120. And then we have the same P120 here under the Magewell capture card, which is one of those blue cables that you see coming out of the motherboard right there. The one that doesn't have a piece of pink tape around it is a USB capture. And so we've got it NDI, and then we've got it USB. We don't have an SDI connection to that camera. Input number 4 here is just a picture. Input number 5 here is just a picture. Input number 6 is just a picture. This was last week's poster. Input number 7 is a poster. Input 8 is a vMix call. So let's go ahead and get that. We'll disconnect it. And let's see, can we reconnect it from here? We'll have to reconnect it from my PC. Let's see if we can do that. Reconnect. There we go. So input number 8 right here, we'll put it in program. Input number 8 is a call back to, put me up here for just a second. Input number 8 down there is a vMix call back to my main PC, which is, basically showing what you're seeing because it's showing it again and again and again. This is the other Decklink Duo from the P100. And what is this? Decklink Duo 3. Oh, how did we do that? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's my main camera. That's right. That's my main camera that's coming in just, naked. It doesn't show any of this right here. So it's just hooked up SDI in front of me, coming to the PC over my shoulder. This input right here, we'll put it into output because it's really kind of confusing, goes off to infinity in a way. That's the output from my main PC. And then this smorgasbord of colors right here is a 3x3 matrix of a bunch of the different inputs in this system. Number 4 is, and we'll go ahead and fire this up, is a YouTube video that Tim and Heath made as part of the NAB 2023. Number 15 here is a video that RJ Murdoch made with his drone when we were installing a vMix system onto a boat in the Gulf of Mexico. It travels up and down the coast. So those 15 inputs right now are running. Let's see, let's maximize this right here for me. 1080p 2997. Render time is 11 milliseconds. GPU memory is 32%. CPU is 8%. Total is 15%. Remember last week when we did this, we had, let's get Tim out of there for just a second. Last week when we did this, we noticed that Windows Task Manager CPU gauge didn't gauge the same way vMix was. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. We're going to right click here on the Windows icon and go to Task Manager. And then we'll go to Performance. We'll go to CPU. And we'll see that this says that the CPU is almost maxed out. It is maxed out, 100%. Down here, vMix says it's only using 10%. So something is amiss there. 100% here. Let's see. Do we still have performance monitor as one of our options in Windows 11? Let's just maximize this for just a second and see. We've got 81, 82, 4.4 gigahertz, 8 core, 16 logical processors, blah, blah, blah. System settings, doesn't apply to that. Looks like performance monitor has gone away. Oh, here it is, resource monitor. There we go. So let's look at the CPU. And we'll make that small so we can see. Looks like all the cores are pretty well maxed. 0 through 15. What about the memory? Memory looks good. A little bit of disk activity up and down. Network, pretty solid. Okay, well, let's get out of this. Get out of this. And let's assume for a minute that vMix is correct and Windows 11 is not correct. Because otherwise, you've got an unusable PC. You've got an 8-core CPU that's unusable because it's running at 100% and it's not streaming or recording. But we've set it up to stream. Let's go into our stream settings here. And we've set it up with a YouTube page. This is one of my private personal pages. And we've got it set up at 1080p 3 megabits per second, simply because I don't have a whole lot of extra bandwidth here. We can try it at something higher, but let's just start there. We're using the hardware encoder. We don't have a second or a third destination, so we'll save and close that. We've got the recording set up, and let's set that up for like 25 maybe. We'll use main. We'll use the hardware encoder, and we're going to the D drive. Remember that the D drive is also an SSD. It'll be an MP4. We'll say okay on that one. And then if we can do it, we've got a multi-quarter set up to take our PTZ Optics camera, our Decklink Duo #1, and our Magewell capture camera, and multi-cord those. So we'll see if we can survive that. And we're going to use the vMix stats as our ability to try that. So let's start out with the stream. So we'll get a stream going. First, it's going to go yellow, as it does. Now it's going to go red. And let's see, do we have access here? We can see if the stream is, yeah, there's the stream. And it's going live immediately because we did that. Nobody's watching it, even though it's public. That's okay, we're testing. And let's go back to stream settings. Yep. There we go. Analytics, stream health. Stream is healthy. And nobody's going to say anything because there's nobody there. All right, let's go back to vMix. vMix says that our total CPU is 14, 15, 17, 18, 16. Our GPU memory is 32. Our render time is 18. 18 is a little high. 16, 19. Let's add some recording to this and see what happens. So we're going to record. And now our recording is started. Our render time is 14, 13, 16. There we go. GPU memory is still 32. vMix CPU is 710. Total is 17. Render time jumped up to 21, 24, 18, 16, 15. Let's put something out there that's got a little bit more movement on it. There we go. That's going to jump up a little bit. vMix at 8 to 11. Total up to 17, 18. Render time, let's go back and look at our, and the frame rate looks pretty close. Let's go up a little bigger here. And it, yeah, it's still moving. Doesn't look bad. And keeping in mind, this is the stream that we're sending to YouTube, and then YouTube is sending it back to us, and then we're capturing it from the second PC on the monitor and bringing it in via the Blackmagic DeckLink mini monitor. Okay, we'll go back to reduced version on that one and go back to vMix and see. Statistically, we're at about the same. Let's just go ahead and take a look at Task Manager here and see what Task Manager tells us in the performance. And it says that the CPU is 100%. 100%. We are streaming at 100%. Our speed is 4.39 gigahertz. And whereas before that was fluctuating a little bit, it seems to be pretty much pegged at that. Let's look at the what's called resource monitor now. It used to be performance monitor. And we'll see if all our cores, yeah, it looks like all our cores right there are maxed out in Windows 11 Task Manager. And so it's just a big block right here. Memory is about where it was before. Disk activity is low. Ethernet, this is our live stream and our outputs that go to the other PC via NDI. So we're streaming, 150 megs. We're receiving 300 to 480 megs. Our 3D encode is a third, not very much. GPU memory, 16 gigs. That can't be right. We have a card. No, it's probably just 8 gigs. And our regular memory here says 18, but really it's 16. So we got some statistical things that don't seem to be adding up based on reality, number one, and based on what we're expecting, number two. Let's go ahead and start a multi-quarter here and see what happens to this system if we can bog it down. So we've got a multi-quarter. We're now recording 3 cameras plus the main output. So far as vMix is concerned, the render time has jumped up just a tad, up to maybe 20, 23 milliseconds. I don't know if you saw that little glitch right there, but we did get a little screen glitch. vMix write, the vMix CPU is about 10, 11, 12%. Total CPU 17%. Again, we'll go back to Task Manager and yeah, Task Manager, there we go. And performance, CPU, and we're still maxed out there. We're just going to kill that so that we can make as much room here. So who do you believe? Who do you believe? We can look at these recordings and see, what are we getting? It looks like the video in our main output is still pretty smooth. Let's go ahead and bring Tim and company over, and we'll take them to output. And we'll keep our video looping out there. And let's take this guy and just go full screen with him. That looks pretty good. I don't detect any glitches, any dropped frames. I mean, dropped frames would be one of the first things that I would expect that we would get, that we would have some stuttering of the video. We're not doing anything with audio right at the moment, so maybe it would show up there first, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. Okay. So we'll let this go for a minute and kind of see how it does. We'll come back to it in just a minute and kind of see what it's doing and see what we think it's going to do. Now, remember, we've got a vMix call going. We've got 3 cameras recording multi-quarter. We're recording the output. We're streaming the output. Now, it's not a big, heavy stream. It's 1080p 2997 at 3 megabits per second. So it's not, super heavy duty stream, but it looks pretty good. Mostly talking head stuff. It's not like it's a basketball game or a hockey game, something like that. We've got 15 inputs, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those are cameras. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those are NDI inputs. 3 of those are cameras. One of them is an input from this PC. The output of this PC is an input in the other PC. And then we've got a YouTube, a bunch of pictures, and then we've got an MP4, 1080p MP4. Now, earlier when I was setting this up, I started out, again, I reached into my recycle bin of cards that I had and pulled out a 2070 and used that. And after about maybe 5 minutes, I started getting some pink lines in it, which I think is why that card may have ended up in the recycle bin to begin with. It may be a bad card. But I noticed with that, excuse me, vMix would not run. The Windows would boot. You could see everything, but as soon as I started vMix and tried to load a preset, vMix just bombed out. And I thought at first, there's a Windows 11 problem, but it seemed that once I replaced that card, that when I replaced the 2070, which by the way had the 2070 driver from NVIDIA, the latest greatest on the PC, I replaced the 2070 with, again, something out of the recycle bin, a 2070 Super, and updated the driver for that one. The machine is operated flawlessly. No problems at all, other than the same anomaly that we noted last week, which is that the vMix statistics on your CPU usage do not match what's going on Windows 11 at all. I wonder if I had a way to get some temperature information on that PC and just see how hot it's getting. Let me do that. Let me stop that, and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So we're going to stop the multi-quarter. We're going to stop the stream. We're going to stop the recorder. We are going to save our preset. We're going to exit out. And we'll end our stream. I heard the fan just jump way down. So let's get rid of all that. And we're back here. And then let's see if we're going to reboot. And I'll be able to control this up until the point I say restart. And then I'm going to have to walk back to the other PC. So let me do that. Restart it. Wait for partner. Sure. At the other PC, stay with me. Don't go anywhere. Okay, I'm trying to go into the BIOS here and see if we can see. Well, I've got BIOS on one screen here, but don't here. Let's see if we can cheat a little bit. Let's do this. Okay, let's go back here. Let's take one of our mini cameras. We'll take this camera right here. We're going to go into the BIOS. You can see the BIOS up there, but it doesn't show up on our second monitor, at least at this point. And I want to see if I can check and see what the temperature is. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Yeah, there we go. You can almost see it. Let's turn off the light for just a second. Okay, so the PC is floating around. Still got too much light. Sorry about that. Boy, it was better with the light on. Right here, that's the CPU temperature, and that's 42 degrees. Oh, that's the light right there that was causing the problems. There you go. So 42 degrees, it's definitely not overheating, although I guess the temperature could have come down pretty quickly. Let's finish the boot. And then maybe we can download a little temperature monitoring software, and we'll wait for that system to come back up. It's not back up yet. It's working on it. There we go. There we go. Now we're back. That's our PC right there. And we should be able to log back into it with TeamViewer in just a second. Yeah, there we go. Looks like we're coming online here. Righto. So let's go up here and unhide the wallpaper. And we'll move this guy up here. And then let's go on the internet and see if we can get a CPU temp monitor. Okay. Let's launch it. There we go. Okay, so we're going to say that TGA max is 100 degrees, and we're getting in the 30s and 40s. So we'll just keep that active. We can get rid of this. Let's go ahead and start vMix again. And we'll start, we'll open our preset. Does this tell us any kind of usage? No. Well, we may come back and look at that. All right, so we're up into the 70s here, temperature-wise. Let's go ahead and start our stream again. Let's start our recording again. And we'll start our multi-quarter again. And our temperatures are now in the high 70s, low 80s. Keeping in mind that we're just running the Intel air cooler, so we don't have any special cooling here. And we'll come down and see Task Manager, Performance, CPU 100%. Let's see if we can download an independent CPU speed. No, we don't want a speed test. We want performance. Let's see if we can see something that shows what we're looking for here. Probably should have done this earlier, but you know how it goes. Still at 100%. Let's try CPU usage. Maybe that's what we're looking for. CPU usage. Well, we got that. We got that. CPU usage monitor tool. CPU system monitor CPU. Yeah, there's a nice looking one. Let's see if we can do that. We'll be sure and wipe this system free later. Windows 64. And there it is right there. Will that install? No. Is it gone? Yeah. Let's see if we, oh, there we go. Run anyway. We're going to be risky. It's going to work. We're going to wipe the system clean anyway. All right, so Task Manager is still a constant 100%. This is the 100% mark, and it hasn't moved anywhere at all. Meanwhile, over here in our CPU temps, we're in the low to mid 80s. Power is at 117, 120 watts. Where is that other piece of software? It's not running. Well, let's see where it is here. Temperature sensor, task manager, vMix. I don't see it running. Maybe vMix is keeping it from running. That happens sometimes. Well, let's go look at our downloads. Sysgauge setup. Let's try it again. Run anyway. There we go. There we go. Run it. All right, free version limitations. This product can only use for personal purposes. For all of the purposes, okay, we'll just accept that. And CPU usage, last minute. Free memory, Let's see, view, don't know what that is. CPU monitor, here we go. Total CPU last minute looks like under 50%. User CPU is going to be the same. System analyzer, NAS monitor, network monitor, system monitor. Let's see what our system status is. Okay. All CPU usage 18%. Good. Well, that's close to what vMix is saying. CPU usage is low. 4.16% above average, though. System memory, disk usage, operating system. vMix 64 gets a red. It's in an error state because it's using too much CPU. Not worried about that. All the stuff that's not being used for anything is down there. Okay. And yeah, vMix number of handles is too high. Number of threads is too high. That's because it's working hard. Okay, well, nevertheless, let's go back to the CPU monitor. We'll let that run for just a second, kind of get a fix on it. Our temperatures are still in the low 80s. We've got one here that was 88, 89. So maybe we're approaching, yeah, just hit 90. Oh, yeah, there's our max temperature. So we can see we've got one core that hit 90. Remember, 100 is our TJ max. We don't want to get there. Saw a little anomaly on the screen here. If you saw that, let me know, but it may have just been TeamViewer. So we would say that sysgauge tends to agree more with vMix on CPU use. Current 24, 25%, average 26%, minimum 6%. Down here, we're saying 15 to 35%. So pretty good range. Maybe attuned to some of these spikes here. CPU frequency. Yeah, I don't know how accurate that is. Anyway, okay. Well, it looks like high temperature 93 there. Looks like our temperatures are gradually ramping up. So if this were a PC that we were going to be working with, we would probably want to do something special for cooling. But again, we're loading it up pretty well. Even though we're only using 15 inputs, we are still loading it up pretty well. Yeah. Let's get that little guy out of the way for a moment. And we'll go back here. Let's go into post-show, and I want to read your comments, see what you think. We'll let this one keep running in the back. And I don't know if you can hear the fan in the background, but stay tuned. We'll be right back with the post-show, which, by the way, you get for free every week. Okay. Let's see. Richmond says, There's a bug in Windows 11 update that affects Stream Deck communication. Being able to host a vMix call, logging in, or setting up some live streams. Can you confirm these have been resolved? Richmond, I cannot because I don't use Stream Deck. I am a dedicated X Keys guy, X Keys XK80. And I don't know it. I think I may have touched a Stream Deck at RJ Studio one time. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the reminder. Sometimes I forget. And Ken, what did you miss? Well, actually, Ken, you could rewind this and say that it was almost exactly like last week's show, except we torture tested this PC, this second PC that was Windows 10 upgraded to Windows 11, running, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 cameras, a vMix call, a 1080p video that played continually, a YouTube video that played continually. We multi-quartered 3 of the cameras. We recorded the output and we streamed it at 1080p 30 to YouTube. The long and the short of it is the bugs that I see are the same bugs I saw last week, which is Windows 11 Task Manager doesn't accurately measure CPU use, and that just may be a Windows issue. I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard it or read it anywhere, but we downloaded a separate Windows performance monitor, and it agreed more. It was closer to what vMix said was going on so far as total CPU. In the pre-show, before I turned you guys on, I did identify that the original graphics card that I pulled out of my recycle bin to use for this build over here must have been bad. I was getting the old pink lines thing. You know how sometimes you get green lines, sometimes you get pink lines. I think there may be a time when you can get blue lines. It's an MSI 2070, and I guess it's just bad. I'll send it back and see if I can get another one to put in the recycle bin. So I replaced it with another one out of the recycle bin, the 2070 Super, and it seems to have done the job, you know. Yeah. So Rick is done with his cabling. Tim is here. And Jan says that there are bugs everywhere. Unless you are in the southern hemisphere, it is approaching summertime. That's right. And Anderson, what is this? Everybody showing up saying, what did I miss? Oh my gosh. Well, let's go back and check our second PC and see what it's doing, what it looks like, and whether or not, anything else is going on. So here it is, the second PC. Let's go and maximize the mix, and we'll put our stuff on top. Task Manager still says we're at 100%, and that vMix is doing 71%. I don't think Windows likes vMix. I mean, I think there's a dissatisfaction there with vMix for some reason. Got 15 different versions of vMix running there. Got a browser instance and then some others. And then the main thing is that vMix Core is running 56%. vMix says the vMix Core is running 9%. So that's where a lot of the difference is right there. NDI running 6 to 10%. Yep. Our temperatures here, the highest we've gotten looks like 95 degrees Celsius on Core 5. We're running what are we running? Let's see what our CPU is. Yeah, it's a 11700F I wasn't sure whether it was a KF or an F. 11700F. It says 2.5 gigahertz, but really it's running at 4 1/3. And then we also had a CPU monitor. Let's see if we can find that guy. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Let's go if we can find it on the apps here. Core temperature. It was system something, I think. Yeah, here we go. Sysgauge. So we'll fire up Sysgauge. And Sysgauge says total CPU less than 50%, more like 25%. vMix says CPU 28%. So that's pretty close. Pretty close there. So yeah, we're just testing and testing and testing some more to see what, we make that a little smaller. There we go. To see, trying to find out why, but I haven't been able to figure out why there's such a difference in what vMix says is its CPU use and Task Manager says it's CPU use. And the general consensus from me is that Task Manager is wrong. So there you go. We'll just have to see. Yeah. All right. Anderson says, are all your cores in use? Well, according to Task Manager, all the cores are maxed out. So let's go in and have a look at that. Can we find that here? Yeah, here we go. So we'll go to performance. Let's make that full screen. We'll go to resource monitor, which used to be called performance monitor, I think. Here's the CPU page. We'll max that one out. And if you look down in the right column here, you see each one of our 16 cores is at 100%. Pay no attention to this 100% right here. That just indicates it has the capacity for 100%. But it's using 100% according to Task Manager. And let's see, can we widen this window here? Here we go. Average CPU, let's put it in order. Here it says, is this percentage average CPU? 7% for vMix. And something called background task host has been suspended, as CHX Smart Screen and Search Host. They've all been suspended. They were naughty. And then somebody else down there was terminated, but yeah. 100% max frequency, 100% max use. Yeah, let's go back up. Services, average CPU, total CPU, not much to speak of. Associated handles, associated modules, not really much there. So memory, we're good. Disk, we're good. Network, we're good. It's just CPU that registers 100% on every single core all of the time. Yep. So that's the story with that. All the cores are in use according to Task Manager, but is that really true? I don't know. Let's take a look at this little system gauge right here and see if we can see. Yeah, let's see. Can we make that section larger? Well, no, but down here you can see CPU number 1 And how many CPUs do we have? We have 16. So CPU number one apparently is carrying the big load. 82%. And all the others are just lagging behind. So it may be that CPU one is running vMix. Yeah, it's apparently the kernel CPU usage is the high part of that one. But total of all CPUs, 15, 18. Oh yeah. Okay, there we go. That shows that one. Total usage in the last minute. So are we not managing our CPU correctly in Windows 11? Are we not spreading the, well, but it said Task Manager was spreading the load over everything because everything was on 100%. Don't get it. Don't get it. So with this uncertainty, here's my conclusion. With this uncertainty, I can't endorse Windows 11 as an upgrade yet. Now we'll go back to square one. We'll wipe this system clean and we'll install a Windows 11 from the ground up and see if we get a similar result. Maybe we can do that next week. So that's the story, guys. That's the story. And I appreciate you hanging around and being part of it. So we will continue with this deep dive into Windows 11 and try, maybe we'll try some more vMix tricks next week. Maybe we'll do some full screen outputs or some output cards. What else could we do? We could do some replays, something to try to challenge the system a little bit more. But I think we were pretty challenging today. Let's go back and take one more look at that system and see. Let's minimize that. We can see, oh, there was a little blip right there where it wasn't 100%, but this is Task Manager right here in the top right-hand corner. Let's maximize this for just a second. Go back to all CPUs. There we go. And we can see that's what sys gauge says. And our temperatures still haven't gotten up to TJ max yet. So, so there we go. There we go. Good stuff to know. Good stuff to know. We'll keep on this, and we'll make sure that you know what we know. Take care.